for just their second win in 6 as they struggle to stay in touch with the top 4. Sebastian Eguren gave away a penalty and was sent off. Luis Fabiano scored it, and Diego Perotti made it 2-0 before half-time. They're still in the break now, and that's how it is, 2-0 at the moment. The group stages are underway in the most important competition in Asian club football. Gamba Osaka of Japan, the 2008 Champions League winners, made an impressive start against Australia's Melbourne Victory. The Japanese side 3-0 up inside 11 minutes, and they ended up winning 5-1 in the Group E opener. Meanwhile, Asian Champions League debutants Jeju United from South Korea hosted the Chinese Super League side Tianjin Teda in their Group E opener. The only goal of the game coming in the 55th minute. Yu Dabo got the winner, and Tianjin clinched a 1-0 victory. And that's your sport for now. Back to Doha, Imran.
Thanks for that, Ashley. Do stay with us here on Al Jazeera. We'll update all the headlines after the break. And don't forget, you're always welcome to visit us online. aljazeera.net/English is the address. Don't go away. Back in a bit.
Hello again. It certainly is going to be very chilly for the northern parts of Asia over the next few days. If we take a look at the charts as we head through Wednesday and Thursday, we'll see the winds are all flowing down from the north, dragging in that cold air and some snow flurries as well. I think most of the snow will be in the western parts of Japan, and further east there's a better chance of a dry day, but even here it's not going to be warm. We're looking at a top temperature in Tokyo of just 7 degrees. Now, head a bit further south, it's also rather fresh for some of us across the southeastern parts of China as well. Shanghai there will get to around 8 degrees and Hong Kong will get to around 21. That sounds reasonable, but it's actually a few degrees lower than the temperatures we've been used to. Now, a bit further south, and here's where all the rain is. We've got one area of low pressure that's gradually tracking its way towards the west. It's throwing plenty of heavy, thundery downpours there across the northern parts of Borneo and still dragging its feet across the Philippines as well. That central belt of the Philippines is going to be very, very wet for Wednesday and Thursday. The southern parts where we have seen flooding should be a bit drier here. Now, talking about flooding, Australia is going to see some very, very heavy rain as we head through the next couple of days. This northern portion staying incredibly wet throughout the day on Wednesday and Thursday too. We could see over 50 centimetres of rain here, and it stretches down to Sydney.
A popular uprising that shook the country to its core. A defiant president under siege from his people. As the protesters took charge of the streets, we look back at the events that are changing Egypt.
I will stay on the air if I can until the police come
in a special program, Al Jazeera gives you a day-by-day account from those that witnessed them firsthand. Egypt burning, at this time on Al Jazeera.
14 competing teams, 13 different venues, 3 host nations. Cricket is part of the fabric of life here, and this competition is the pinnacle of the one-day game. We'll be bringing you all the action and reaction from India, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. The Cricket World Cup on Al Jazeera.
The United Nations unanimously suspends Libya from its Human Rights Council. Welcome to Al Jazeera. It's 2200 GMT. I'm Imran Garta in Doha. Also on the program, preparing for a possible showdown with Libyan government forces as thousands of civilians undergo military training in the city of Benghazi.
We meet today on a crisis marked by ongoing violence amid a growing humanitarian emergency.
UN Chief Ban Ki-moon warns of the growing crisis in Libya as hundreds of thousands flee the violence.
In the years ahead, Libya could become a peaceful democracy, or it could face protracted civil war, or it could descend into chaos.
The US maintains that the option of a no-fly zone for Libya is still on the table, but Russia and China voiced their doubts. The caretaker government in Tunisia is under increasing pressure as 3 more ministers resign, including a leading opposition figure. The United Nations General Assembly has suspended Libya from its Human Rights Council. In just the last couple of hours, UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon warned members that the situation in Libya and on its borders was a growing humanitarian emergency. It came as world leaders put more pressure on Muammar Gaddafi to step aside. Well, all of this as the situation on the ground remains highly volatile. Dan Nolan has more.
A rebel army prepares for war. At locations across Benghazi, civilians gather for boot camp, learning how to move as a battalion and fire weapons in preparation to march on Libya's capital.
These people are coming here to help our country become free, and they want to defend our land. They will learn how to fight and use weapons to go and liberate Tripoli.
The leaders of these ragtag units springing up across eastern Libya say they already have 5,000 volunteers. Learning to fire military hardware is just part of the job. Ensuring the stockpiles left by Colonel Gaddafi's forces are in working order is also a top priority. Many retired soldiers are overseeing preparations. Teacher and pupil united by a common dream.
All people here are one heart and they believe in one Libya. So there is no way in going back. We're going to finish this job.
The risks these opposition units still face are high, even in the rebel-controlled east. 150 kilometres southwest of Benghazi, anti-government fighters show off a crater they say was caused by Libyan Air Force bombardment on Monday. Nearby is an ammunition depot full of high-powered explosives.
If they manage to drop a bomb on one of these bunkers, the entire area will get wiped out. Residential areas are only 4 or 5 kilometres from here and are home to over 200,000 people.
There's no indication of when this rebel army might move on Tripoli, but a man who served the Libyan leader for the past 4 decades says he knows how it will end for Colonel Gaddafi.
The end will be either committing suicide, which is unlikely as suicide is a sin in Islam, or he may go out with his weapon for others to kill him, he and his rifle, in a bloody, fatal confrontation against huge force. The second scenario is much more likely to happen, almost 90%.
A sign of what's to come, perhaps, at Benghazi's central prison. Most of the jail has been looted and torched, only the gallows left unscathed. Dan Nolan, AlJazeera.
As opposition groups in Libya take over areas outside of the capital, state prisons and military buildings are now being searched.